Hey, this is Beverly Bozeman. I am the creator of the About Her Ministry YouTube channel and the recently released best-selling book, Diary of a First Lady, Shiloh Grammar. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Be sure and share this with your friends and your family. I really do appreciate it. I had a few words that I wanted to share with you guys. And it won't take a long time, but it's just something that kind of crossed my mind earlier today. And I was thinking that, maybe somebody could benefit from this kind of like revelation I had or whatever. But I basically came up with 3 ways to survive a storm. I don't mean a storm as in the weather. I just mean, like the storms of life, because as the saying goes, when it comes to life is like ebbs and flows, ups and downs. And when it comes to the storms of life, you're either in a storm, on your way to a storm, or coming out of a storm. So the first thing that I wanted to mention is that you have to know that there will be storms in life. Now, the types of storms, they vary. The degree of the storms, they vary. The severity of the storms, they vary. In the length of the storms, they vary. It's just like in the natural sense, weather-wise, all storms are not always the same. They're not always going to have the same effects on people. But how one person handles the storm, how one person prepares for the storm is different from another person. So the same thing as the storms in life. So the first thing is we have to know that storms are coming. And we may not know exactly what type of storms, how long they're going to stay and all of that, but we just have to acknowledge the fact that storms are coming. That does not mean that we are to be pessimistic and walk around with our heads down to the ground. Woe is me, I'm getting ready to go through something. Woe is me, I'm in the middle of something. Woe is me, I've been in this thing for a long time, and I'm hoping this is the end of it. We can't walk around having that particular mindset about the storms of life, or we're never going to be happy. We're going to always be fearful, or we're going to always be in a negative state. And so one good thing, I guess, about knowing that storms come is that we can kind of prepare ourselves for them. Just like if we watch the weather and we find out that a tremendous windstorm is coming or a rainstorm is coming, we can do something to prepare for it. So, and it varies depending upon what the weatherman says and based upon what we have with us as far as rain gear, as far as shelter. We would have to make adjustments, go out and buy some things and whatnot. So I guess the same thing would apply to life. We know that storms are going to come, so we got to kind of prepare for it. Different ways to prepare for it, and it really depends on the type of person you are, the type of mentality that you have, who the people that you hang around with the most, what they're like. It's a whole lot that goes along with that, but the main thing is to just know that storms are going to come, right? And so the second thing I wanted to mention is that when it comes to going through a storm or surviving a storm, that you have to fight while you are holding on. Here's what I mean. If you remember the movie Rush Hour 1, I've watched Rush Hour 1 like a million times, so this particular scene kind of stands out. But if you're not familiar with it, you can always, rent it or whatever, or go to YouTube and look up this particular scene. So towards the end, Jackie Chan, his character was Inspector Detective Lee. He had a fight scene, right? The whole purpose was for him to save as many of the Chinese artifacts as possible during the fight scene, and that he was trying not to let anything get broken, right? And so one of the guys realized that that's what he was trying to do. So in his mind, he was like, I'm going to beat him up. by pushing over one of the big vases, and when he tries to hold it up, and then I'm going to hit him. So that's exactly what the guy did. He pushed this really big vase towards the floor, and Lee caught it and was trying to hold it up and keep it from falling, right? And when his arms was up, he was holding it up, trying to protect it. The guy came and started punching him. That was dirty, but you know, that's the way villains do. And he kind of got tired of the guy hitting him, so he pushed it. And he knew it was going to come back down because it was a temporary push. So he started hitting the guy, kicking the guy, and beat him up. When it came down, he pushed it up again like that. And then he got to the point where he put it on his back. He turned and put it on his back and got the two guys. You know, you just had to see it to understand it. But he was holding on, had the thing on his back, and he was still fighting. So that's kind of how we got to do when we are facing a storm. We have got to hold on in the situation, meaning don't give up and keep fighting. Every day, focus on getting up and moving forward with life instead of balling up and laying in the bed, calling in sick, telling everybody you're not going to hang out with them. Woe is me, so you can draw the blinds, close, and get up under the covers. That's not fighting while you're holding on. That's laying down. That's taking a nap. And it's not going to make the situation any better. But fighting, moving forward, you know, I'm not saying naturally get into a fight with somebody, but fighting means pushing through the situation, looking at it from a different standpoint. If you have a trusted person to talk to them. If nothing else but to get it out, because I believe that a lot of times we have our own answers. We have our own answers, and sometimes those answers, they come out when we express ourselves or when we say what's on our heart. And if you don't have anybody to talk to, there's always journaling. There's always just verbally just getting it out, not whining about it, not complaining and woe is me and this ain't fair, but just talking the situation out. And then sometimes we have the answers, and then sometimes it's just therapeutic to get it out. So that's number 2, was fight while you're holding on. And the third way to survive a storm is to anchor yourself. The best thing to do is to know that when storms come, you have to have a place to anchor yourself. And an example of that is when people have boats and they keep them in the harbor or a marina, and they know a storm is coming, they'll drop the anchor, or I guess it depends on how big the boat is. If it's a sailboat, they might like tether it to the pier or whatever they may have, that particular location would have for boats to tie up. They'll just go ahead and tie it up. And so they're anchoring the boat to whatever they have so that it will stay in place. Now, here's the thing. When the boat is tied up, it still moves up and down, left and right, and it still rocks. And sometimes they sway from side to side, back and forth, or whatever. They go along with the current. They go along with the height and the drop of the waves. But they stay, they stay in that particular location. So that's why it is crucial for us to already have an anchor, so that when the storms come, we have something to anchor ourselves to. We don't have to go out and search for the anchor. I think that's why a lot of times we get defeated when we are faced when we are faced with these particular storms, because we have not secured an anchor. It's kind of like not paying attention to the weather, right? And you're out and about, and then the storm clouds come, and it's like the bottom of the clouds fall out, and the rain is just horrible. And you're thinking, man, I need an umbrella or I need a poncho or whatever, right? So you pull up to a drugstore and you're going to just dash in and get it, and then you'll be good to go. The distance between where you park and the door could be great. It could be short, but the amount of rain that comes down drenches you and covers you. So it's like you're going to be wet for the rest of the day, even though you went in and you got the umbrella. But had you had the umbrella already in the car or the poncho or whatever, you would have been good to go. But you were not prepared for that. There's some things that I'm not saying that we can be prepared for every storm. But if we have some sort of anchor that we kind of tuck away in a break in case of emergency type box, that's like mental or whatever, then when it comes, we have something to kind of hold us down and get us through. And I have 2 suggestions for that. One, of course, is your relationship with God and the Word of God. I'm going to always suggest that, right? And then the second thing is we should always have something in our lives that's positive, that brings us peace. And it's something that we should be interacting with or making reference to or participating in on a regular basis. That should not be a break in case of emergency type of thing. The thing that gives us peace. We shouldn't put it away until the storm comes all the time. That didn't sound right. The break in case of emergency is like the big guns. Whatever the big guns is for you. But every day we need to have something small that we can focus on or participate in or whatever, as long as it's positive, that kind of helps to make us feel good so that once the storms do come, it's not such a big jolt and we can kind of lean into that thing. Now, I always say that it's something positive and something beneficial, not so that it creates another problem. Like for some people, when they go through a hard time, they'll do some retail therapy or shopping. And for some people, that creates more debt. It creates problems in the home because you're bringing in useless items and you already have nowhere to put it, becoming a pack rat. And that can cause problems as well because you like, look at all of this junk I got. And it just reminds you of how you're not facing things like you should. But you should always have some type of an anchor to help you out when the time comes. I do suggest like 2 things. One thing that's super duper big, and then something that you can participate in on a regular basis. And whatever it is, make sure you're not telling people what it is, because some people are going to try and talk you out of it. What do you mean you got a therapist? Why would you go to therapist? Go see a therapist. That's a waste of money. If you talk to a therapist once a month, once every other month, or on a as needed basis, that can be your anchor. But you don't have to tell everybody. That could be your anchor in the box. Like, you have a therapist on standby. That could be your anchor. And you only talk to this therapist when you need them. Or it could be something as simple as at the end of your day or the beginning of your day or whatever, you could be working on a jigsaw puzzle. That helps to allow you to focus on what's in front of you. Or what's that thing, Sudoku. Or any type of game that might be on your iPad. There's plenty in the app stores. You know what I'm saying? Those could be everyday anchors, or those could be anchors that you pull out every now and again. It's just, depends on you or whatever. So number 3, the third thing is to anchor yourself. And so those are basically the 3 ways to survive a storm. I also wanted to add a bonus way to survive a storm, and that would be to speak positive things into your life. I am a firm believer, and nobody can convince me otherwise, that we get the things that we speak, whether it's positive or whether it's negative. I have spoken positive things and negative things into my life, and I've been doing it for years, and I've seen it. I've seen my life just change in front of my eyes, and realize when I look back at it that it was because of what I said. So that's a bonus. And I would encourage you to journal. You can journal as in like get you a old school diary and write it out. I have this little cute thing. I don't even remember where I got it from. It might have been like $1 or $2. And see how it opens. Got a little magnet, and then it has pages like this, lined pages, and I got a little writing going on. But and it has plenty of, it's kind of thick. It has plenty of pages. And this is how I do some of my journaling. I put specific things in here. And then I have this other piece over here. See, it can be as fancy as you want it to be. I think I got this from Five Below. So it was like $5. And it has sections in it. And it has, you know, like this has, I don't know if you can tell, but this has like the dotted lines, so you can kind of draw out things that you might be thinking. And then you have your regular lines, and then you have blank pages. I like journals like this because it's backwards, but it says dream big. If you can find a journal like this that inspires you, then do that. And this has donuts, like donuts. So, you know, it might seem a little simple, but whatever's going to help you to weather the storm and come out on the other side smiling. And as far as the journals, you can write out your feelings. You can write out plans of actions. You can write out things that you are grateful for. For some people, their anchor is being grateful for what they have. You know what I'm saying? So, journal writing it's really awesome. It's really therapeutic. And I'm actually working on a journal and a journal class to go along with the book, Diary of a First Lady. Because in the book, the first lady, the pastor's wife, she's talking to God about being blackmailed because she doesn't really have anybody to talk to. And my YouTube channel about her ministry has a whole lot of first ladies. And they haven't necessarily come out and said they don't have anybody to talk to, because some of them do have, you know, good support systems, but they can't really go to just anybody and talk about what's going on in their household. So this lady, she couldn't really go and talk to anybody. She had to write it down and put it in her journal. And so, or her diary rather. And so I kind of came up with the idea of putting together a journal writing class as well as a journal. I've been journaling for years, and it has helped me tremendously. So be on the lookout for that. I just wanted to share that with you guys. And I hope that in my rambling, you've been able to pick out some good things that can help you move forward when, or survive rather, when you go into the storm, because we're either in a storm, going into a storm, or coming out of a storm. That's just the way it is. All right. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to release your genius, pull off the impossible every day. Remember, you will have whatever it is that you say. So be positive when you speak, Queen.